It's me, Vera, here to remind you that this is an adult podcast. That means we're going to deal with tough topics. Take a break if you need it, and be kind to yourself, because we sure won't be.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Cracked Crown, a Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition podcast. As always, I am your storyteller, Mike Martin, joined by my now 5 wonderful players. Dot, I know, right? We've added to the crew. The infection is spreading. Say hello to Dot, Josh, Mark, Jason, and Bub. Hey, guys.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
For those of you in stream, welcome to the live recording of episode 6 and then 7 after this. We're very excited to continue the story right where we left off a couple of weeks ago. If you are a podcast listener, then you already got our little surprise, little one-shot between myself and Mark. For those who are watching the stream, you'll see that in
No, you got that backwards. Stream's already seen it. Podcast will get it in 2 weeks' time.
Oh, shit.
Wait, did
other way around?
Did it get streamed?
It did get streamed.
No,
so nobody's hurting it, Mike Madness. You're right. You're right.
Cat's out of the bag.
Cat's out of the bag. We're all confused.
Yeah, that's right.
The bat is out of the bag.
Nobody's heard it. Yeah, nobody's heard it actually yet.
Yeah, no, all right. No, so somewhere in the near future, you will all be hearing
You're
it.
right.
I think it's 2 weeks out. I don't know if we're planning on putting on a Patreon a little earlier. I think we talked about doing that. I'm not sure if we're still going to.
Sorry, y'all. Secrets. Just look to where we release our stuff. It'll happen.
Yeah, it'll be out there. Don't worry. You're going to see Max in the beginning of this episode. You don't stress about where he came from. You'll all learn that very soon.
I was doing other things.
He was taking care of business, as it were, as he always is. Other than that, though, I just want to say thank you guys, as always, for supporting us here on Twitch, for the subscriptions, as we've just kind of recently launched our channel not too long ago now. You guys supporting us here on Twitch goes a long ways to taking care of the cast that will be showing up on Saturday, which I cannot believe it's 4 days out. I don't understand how that happened. But in 4 days, right here on twitch.tv/podbynight, for those who are watching the stream, SOS season, the very final season, the last season, Shadows of Sybil, will be beginning.
It's true.
That's nuts to even just say
happening
out loud.
It's applause, it's right here.
It doesn't feel like it's not going to sink in
until we show up on Saturday.
Yeah, on Saturday, I see you all in your costumes, and then it'll be like, oh God, we're back. Okay, it's gonna be.
Do you know
it's
how
gonna be
I know
a lot
what
of
happened?
fun.
I
It is
bought
the final
new
chapter.
jewelry for my dreads.
Of course, perfect. Can't wait. It's the final chapter that we've all been wanting to tell for 2 years now. We can finally start. So please come see us. What time is it going to be at? 4 p.m. EST?
4 p.m. Eastern this upcoming Saturday. If you're hearing this on the podcast, it's actually already out. So you can view it on Roll For It's channel or through our Twitch.
Yeah. So if you're a sub on Twitch, you'll be able to see it anytime you want. And like Dot said, it'll be for free over at the youtube.com/roll4it. That's roll the number 4 it. And you see it'll be right next to the other 2 seasons, which people have been binging and re-binging lately because we have they're refreshing their memory as we're about to get going. So your support here on Twitch supports that show pretty much directly. And to support Pod by Night as a whole, patreon.com/podbynight. Without you guys, there would be none of this. We wouldn't be doing this right now. So thank you guys for allowing us to continue telling stories and pushing, what we're capable of doing here on the podcast. And we want to keep growing and keep trying new things and keep doing crazy, crazy shows. We have so many ideas. Dot has a million ideas. There's so much shit we want to do. So let's hope we get to do all of it. Last but not least, check out our Discord. It is free to join. You can go talk theories and spoilers in different rooms. There's over 200 people or something like that on that Discord now. It's crazy, or close to 200 people. And if you are a patron, there's some exclusive little private rooms you get, and you get some color-coded names on Discord, along with a bunch of other rewards over at the Patreon. That is it, I think. Usual, check our link tree. We got merch, we got Twitter, and all that good stuff. But with all that said, if that's everything, are we ready to begin?
I think we chilled enough.
Yeah,
we're good.
I think chilling is one of those things I hate doing. Where you just gotta fucking you gotta
now we
do
gotta
it every
chill for
single
the prince.
time. Yeah, you gotta chill for Jackson. All right, cool. Well, with that said, then let's set the scene, rein things in, and see what our coterie is up to. The dark black screen cuts to the site of our coterie, standing inside a small building, dimly lit by an orange light that hangs by a single wire. Small shelves in this relatively small room sit along the sides, lining the concrete walls. But here we stand in what was once Prince Maxwell's panic room, a place where he would go if needed should things get out of hand in Chicago. A place so far outside the city itself, most would consider it unsafe. But in that, as you all know, there can be safety. The words Bob are what crack the silence, as a knocked over bookshelf and a crumbled brick wall stand at the feet of Bob Kowalski, having burst through that room. And in that, as the words Bob spill from her lips, breaking the air, the weird chatter and the silence amongst the coterie, there stands a familiar face, Mr. Kowalski. One you haven't interacted with regularly, but one you've seen around Chicago here and there. A woman by the name of Sophia. She is not necessarily aligned with the Camarilla, as she claims to be an anarch. But the typical Camarilla rule is, so long as you're following the Masquerade, you are part of the Camarilla, no matter what you shout to the heavens that you belong to. And in a moment, as that recognition hits, her eyebrow cocks, and you see her pistol her pistol arm relax a bit. She points the barrel off to the side, and the aggressive stance that they took instantly as you bursted through the wall dissipates for the most part. Does Bob say anything when you recognize Sophia, or do you simply allow her to continue to speak?
Hey, Sophia, relax. Sorry about that wall there. We didn't know it was you.
She lets those words kind of ring openly in this room. I'm curious, as Bob spills out that explanation and the camera pans to the rest of the coterie, how do we see you all standing? Now, keep in mind, Duke is not here. He did not come in through the back doors. He stayed up front and was going to make his way to the front with the groundskeeper that was once the prince's. So really all we have down here is Vera and Sean. As Bob is relaxed and kind of welcoming to Sophia, what do we see Vera and Sean doing? Are they on edge? Are they reaching for weapons? Are they taking it in? I'm just curious where are they tense, basically? Are they ready to jump at any moment? Because you're around the corner still, right? You're still in that hallway just around the corner, so the camera would pass by Bob Kowalski's shoulder into the dark tunnels.
So
and
Vera will continue to attempt to make herself unknown. If she has not seen
no, they don't seem, because Bob stepped forward and he was like, I'm going to bust through the wall.
The plan was not that
we'll
Bob knew who was on the other side of the wall. So this is now new information.
No,
so
correct.
Vera
that is a surprise.
Is going to see if Bob introduces us, because this might not be somebody we want to be introduced to. So Vera holds her position.
Certainly. And so as Vera holds and Bob Kowalski kind of speaks Sophia, the camera will then kind of push back through the brick wall as the conversation that's about to happen becomes more muted, difficult to understand the actual words that are being said. And we'll get back into there to see what that conversation is momentarily. But as we pull out the brick wall, we're met with Duke, walking side by side with the groundskeeper, who is wordlessly following along. However, Duke, as you approach the parking lot where that one rusted out car in the tire shop sits with the tires missing, there's a pool of red liquid that was not there before. In a moment, you stand still, you take in the parking lot, and in that parking lot stands a body who's face down with jeans and a shirt, and the back of their skull entirely bashed open with bits of brain and blood pooled around his face. The groundskeeper, seeing a similar sight, doesn't say anything, does not panic, but stops. I'll be right here when you tell me it's safe.
I'll take a few steps forward. Would this scene sort of like look a little familiar to me, having...
I mean, it's familiar, but Max is not the only one capable of punching holes in
Sure,
people.
sure, of course, but I'm looking for like MO here, right? Is this...
Sure. Do you want to check we want to go inspect the body?
Yeah,
From where you're at, the body just seems like a body.
I think I'd like to.
Well, just call me Mo.
As you stroll over to the body, I'm going to make a roll very quickly. Not super great. As you walk over to the body, and we watch as Duke takes a knee, slowly moving through the pockets for potential identification or to look at who this particular person was mere moments ago. And what you find is perhaps surprising and unsurprising. A small leather flippable badge that underneath simply reveals the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
That's less than exhilarating information. It's late.
Max, make a wits awareness. Continue, Duke.
I think I'm gonna try to pull the body out of immediate
sight.
view.
So Duke, with taking up his instincts as a cleaner, something he's so well practiced in, having done it for decades upon decades at this point, just jumps to what muscle memory is. Begins to remove the body as best he can. Should this be a violation of the Masquerade, which Duke would obviously immediately assume it could be, and moves to hide the body. Where would you move it? There's a overgrown field with weeds and garbage. There's that car that's kind of in the back right-hand corner without tires. Lots of places to put the body, but nothing as clean or clear as like a dumpster would be in the city streets.
I'm gonna pull it to the vehicle, go to the trunk.
Okay. Go into the trunk. As you head over to the vehicle, that you find that the trunk is entirely unlocked. It's actually can't even shut all the way. It just kind of bounces off a little bit. But you effortlessly scoop your arms underneath this individual and slide him into the trunk with a heavy thud. You watch the car kind of weigh itself down as you close the lid. And Max, you still have that particular individual in a headlock, their mouth covered. But you can see a tall, distinct man walking the parking lot and just doing what he does best, removing the mess that you created. Stinky, or should I say Adelaide, looks over to where Duke is, and then back to you and says nothing, but simply takes a step further behind you to put herself out of the way.
Now, I actually, as I recall, got this particular individual you mentioned zip-tied at the wrists and ankles. And gagged and thrown over my shoulders. So
over your shoulder, correct.
I'm just gonna stroll over, and as soon as I'm within earshot, hey, Duke, what's the rumpus?
And you don't jump. You're not particularly surprised, Duke, to hear that voice with the evidence left in the parking lot. Do you speak? Are you invisible, or do you speak?
No, I got, as you mentioned, that individual on my shoulder. It's a little different situation than with Adelaide, so I can't cloak with her. So
as you look over, there he stands, Max, with a female bound and gagged, hog-tied almost, but not quite, since they're zip ties and not a rope, over his shoulder.
Closes the trunk, or at least tries to.
Yeah, and it kind of, but it doesn't quite.
I expected to see you after I saw the wound to the rear of the head.
Yeah, well, what can I say? I'm a creature of habit.
That much I can rely upon.
Yeah, we got a little bit of bad news. Number one, these two are both feds. Number two, they're also hunters.
As the word hunters kind of falls, and there's even maybe a moment of Duke taking it in, we cut again. Back to inside the building, where that conversation that was once muddled becomes much clearer. Sophia, as you kind of welcome and say hi to her, Bob, she relaxes even further. She doesn't quite let go of the gun, but the gun in her firing arm drops lazily to her side. She puts the weight all on one foot and really takes a much more relaxed position as she goes to lean up against a table. And you hear the clatter of the gun on the table as she leans against it, but keeping the gun firmly in hand. I don't know if I am relieved or surprised to see you here, but yeah, she shakes her head The sentence gets cut off. You know, I really wish you would have taken my offer. What has it been now? 5-10 years ago? She looks around. I know Gary ain't much, but the Anarchs are finally able to at least get a foothold.
It's just not really been my thing, you know?
I never got that. I don't understand. She shakes her head again. I don't get you and the whole Camarilla shit. It doesn't... 1 and 1 ain't making 2 with me, you know? You everything about you just... Maybe I'm too used to stereotypes, but everything about you just screams independence, freedom, democracy. I don't know why it screams democracy. She kind of retorts back, maybe my own personal beliefs, but it's a shame. Well, what? And then she once again realizes, she gets kind of confused. Why are you here?
I'm here with these folks, kind of keeping an eye on them, helping them out, you know.
As he says these folks, and he points behind him, do we see Vera kind of stroll out from around the corner, or Sean step out from around the corner?
Oh no, I point to Sean and I'm like,
yeah.
So as the camera kind of quickly flies past Kowalski and around the corner, you just see Vera
pointing for Sean to go first.
Sean narrows his eyes at you a little bit. It's like, fine. And then he's like, hey, I'm Bob's new friend. Are you Bob's friend? Or do I have to start? And he cracks his knuckles.
They look past him and then back to Bob. She shakes her head. I'm not looking for a new friend. Sorry. Yeah, Bob. I mean, are you still playing lapdog over in Chicago then? Are you still suckling at the tea to Jackson?
No, I am, says Vera as she steps out.
And there's that long stride, the sounds of heels on dirt concrete, and Vera strides around the corner. A
pose, maybe a lean on a broken brick wall, but she makes herself, especially at that, because perfect timing is everything on your entrance.
Yeah, it is, especially with Vera. As you lean up against the wall, she looks past you. She nods again. Any other surprises I should be worried about, Bob?
If I told you, they wouldn't be a surprise, now would they?
She takes that in, looks over to Vera, and does Vera continue as she with anything she wants to say, or does she kind of just stand and wait?
I'm simply waiting. My presence is now known, and for who is now known.
She sighs as Vera rounds the corner. Well, listen, Bob. The offer still stands. You know, the Anarchs can finally get a foothold here in Gary. You know, we can hold our own. We can maybe even push back against Jackson a little bit. I don't want Chicago. We don't want Chicago. We just want to be left the fuck alone. You know, we've always just wanted to be left the fuck alone. Gary would be the perfect place for us to just settle in. Maybe we can turn this fucking city around for once. It's been years since anybody seemed to give a shit about it. We can give a shit about it. The kind can be fed and cared for while we improve our own lives here. I mean, Bob, you were the first one I went to when I stepped away. The first one when I wanted to go join the Anarchs. When you said no, I can't help but admit that I was hurt. You know, I thought a few times we got to work together were valuable to you, and you let me down. I didn't let that stop me. I moved forward, but I'm inquisitive. I'm an inquisitive mind. Mm-hmm. And Bob, I thought maybe you were working for someone else. I thought maybe you were a pair of eyes to keep on me, to keep tabs. Maybe I had accidentally trusted the wrong person. You were not who you said you were. So I did a little digging after you left. What doesn't make sense to me is that Bob Kowalski didn't show up until much later. But you told me you've been here since the 1800s. So it didn't make any sense, and so I started to do some digging, and Who the fuck actually are you, Bob? Because you might actually be the key to help the Anarchs actually take a step. You might actually have power or influence. But your story and your history don't fucking line up. And I don't wanna have to use that against you. But I will if I have to. And as those words fall, we cut back outside the building. Duke, as you round the corner with Max, there you see a familiar face. Stinky, now known as Adelaide, standing a little bit to the side near the front door of Sim's tire shop. As you round the corner, she gives a meek wave, but says nothing. You can hear on the inside muffled voices, almost entirely just a female's voice, with the occasional Bob interjection until eventually it just seems to be a female drolling on about something. Max, you can hear it as well. As you come together, you notice the FBI agent over his shoulder is a female, somewhere in her 30s or so, dressed in plain civilian garb. And as she's over the shoulder, you see, as you approach Adelaide, you see Adelaide kind of palming 2 stakes that were pulled off of each FBI agent individually. Well-crafted, nothing super special, but well-crafted stakes that weren't whittled from a chair or something like that.
So not only are they FBI, but they're some sort of hunter. They're informed of the area. Okay.
Yeah.
And Duke nods to Adelaide. I recognize that Duke makes Adelaide very uncomfortable.
Certainly. Yep. Yeah, it's not the first time.
So he just kind of nods to her and gives her that space. And then looks to Max to see what his take is on this immediately.
Max, do you remember her name? You got the FBI badge from Adelaide last time, and it had this agent's name on it. I can tell you if you don't remember.
Yeah, I wrote it down on that pad I had next to my laptop last week. But,
Agent Pasternak.
Agent Casternak.
Pasternak.
So, anyway, this is Agent Pasternak. She's not terribly cooperative, but I figure you're a little more persuasive than I am.
In the moment, she is not fighting back. As she says, she's not very persuasive. She does not respond, nor is she fighting to try and free herself any longer.
So, I think you and her should have a little talk. We got to figure out whether this is, I don't know, sanctioned by the government, in which case we got bigger problems than we thought. Or more likely, these two clued into what's really going on, and they decided to go a little extracurricular with their law enforcement activities.
Would you like to head downstairs to see exactly what's happening with Vera and Bob?
Yeah, let's get the lay of the land. I'm going to get that guy you stashed in the trunk, too. Waste not, want not.
Certainly.
So you store Agent Pasternak next to her bleeding or bled out dead once companion, perhaps friend, after ripping his skull from the back of his spine. And Duke leads you to the back entrance.
Oh, no. My intention was to bring this one with me, maybe.
I misunderstood then.
I'm going to come.
Keeping her
back
over
for
your
the
shoulder.
body. Like,
got you. Okay, my bad.
And he nods to the tire shop. This here place. This is where we're hanging our hat from now on?
From my understanding, yes, this is our new abode.
Okay. Might as well get her set up with a place to stay while she enjoys our hospitality, and then I'll bring Laughing Boy in.
And we see Max effortlessly scoop up the corpse and Duke lead him past the car, past the parking lot into a field of weeds and piles of just trash, debris left over from passers through. People come out here, party, perhaps do drugs, and eventually a small hidden entrance that leads to a tunnel. Long and rather short for even Max having to hunch a little bit. Duke especially would have to. But as you enter the tunnel, the words become much clearer as they echo through the hallway instead of being muffled by walls and ground. And so you stroll and you can hear this conversation, and feel free, Duke and Max, to interject when you see suitable. Those words that fell from her mouth accusing you of lying, Bob, accusing you of creating or perhaps pretending to be someone you're not, hang over the air, and I imagine a very tense silence happens for a few moments. But I'm curious, before Bob says anything, do we see Vera and Sean behind Bob as Bob kind of blurs out of focus and the camera focuses on the two of them standing behind? When you hear these accusations drop, do we see Vera or Sean react in any way?
Sean is going to just keep an eye on Bob to see how he's reacting.
I imagine Bob is... How is Bob reacting? Does he tense up? Does he remain in a relaxed nature on these on this particular insinuation? What do they see? Up. You see, also his lax nature does kind of tense up.
His body language completely change.
His lackadaisical slouch shoulders straighten. His slight, kind of hunch as he walks becomes much more upright, and you can see him visibly becoming slightly more tense. With that, Sean and Vera, do we see you two react to Bob's reaction?
Sean's getting ready for he's preparing to jump these people. Like, he knows Bob. He doesn't know them.
Sure. And does Vera just stay as she always is?
Maybe we don't know Bob, but she doesn't say anything. Vera never lets anybody know how she's feeling. She stands there like a stone statue. She's waiting for the opportune moment, but she doesn't want to inform them whether or not she knows him or doesn't know him.
So then I imagine there is just a tense silence for a few beats before Bob perhaps interjects. If he doesn't, Sophia will continue.
You know what, Sophia? You ever heard the term curiosity killed the cat?
Oh, I have. I've heard that.
She shrugs. She shrugs. And can you point to a kindred who hasn't found themselves dangerously curious in their lives at least once? So you find me dangerously curious about you, Bob. You showed up after what? Bob Kowalski. I couldn't pinpoint exactly when that first name appeared, but it wasn't until Loden was prince. I'm not trying to assume you're one thing or another. I am saying that whoever you actually are, Bob, could be an asset. You could work for true freedom. Loden was the one that brought in Gary under Chicago's heel. It was independent before that. It should be independent again, this time under a non-feudal system where modern day sensibilities can run free and we can maybe give these people a better life as simply because we choose to make this place better for ourselves.
Well, isn't that quaint? As much as all of this chatter has me riled with political conversation, we're not here for your politics.
She does not look... her eye contact stays on Bob, but she speaks to Vera. Then what the hell are you here for?
To clean out the squatters.
She looks back to the two people who are kind of not as relaxed as she is, but wordlessly kind of waiting to see what her orders are. So you're here to evict us under whose orders?
Well, I imagine you've already figured it out.
You're here on behalf of the Camarilla, then, Prince Jackson?
You are a smart one.
You are aware that Gary has been independent after Loden's disappearance. Jackson has no... Well, he has no authority here.
That's not what Jackson says.
And so what? You're going to be Jackson's fist?
Nobody has raised a fist yet.
Whoa, Jackson's fist, huh? That sounds kind of sexy.
There's our fist.
To break perhaps the tension, rounding the corner with a schlub over his shoulder and a body over the other is Maxwell. Max, as you step forward, you see a sight of a crumbled wall that was once brick, a knocked over wooden bookcase, and a small room bereft of most luxuries beyond a place to sleep and a few shelves. And three unfamiliar kindred, two females and a male, all somewhat young, engaged in conversation. Duke, are you staying out of sight? You would be obviously nearby. You went in there with Max.
I think Duke would probably follow up just behind, maintaining silence, but seeing as this conversation is going on and that it's a low ceiling, I think he'll probably turn a shelf on its side and pull a chair up to it so he provides himself what looks like a desk, a staging area of sorts.
As Max and then Duke both round the corner, those who are standing behind Sophia don't get more relaxed. However, their threatening positions retract. The guns go down. And Sophia just continues, well, we're outnumbered 5-3 here, so we'll be on our way wordlessly then. I'd not like to spill our blood here.
Yeah, that sounds like the smart choice. Gotta admit, Vera, I'm a little surprised this shithole has squatters. But hit the bricks, kids. Let's go.
Spilling blood is not why we are here. Have a seat. Please.
They hesitate on that, but eventually Sophia will not, she doesn't want to take a seat, but she leans up against the shelf, kind of like, gets her butt cheeks up on the shelf just a bit, but her legs still touching the ground. And the gun remains in her hand, but lazily on the table as she leans.
Vera, before we discuss business, you should know we got a guest, one of which is conscious. Maybe I should stash her somewhere else.
They make all sorts of, they make tires out of all sorts of different materials these days. Just throwing that idea in there.
Yeah.
The two kindred that sit behind Sophia shift uncomfortably at that, but Sophia remains relatively stoic, though to a keen eye, they may notice that she holds back a bit of discomfort.
I like it, Bob. I like it. Reduce, reuse, recycle.
That's grim.
Calm yourselves, friends. Vera, if you wouldn't mind, I have an idea, a show of good faith to the new faces here, locals.
Please, this entire thing is all about show of good faces.
Sean, would you care to set a seat across from the shelf here? And Max, if you would, place our guest. I'd like to have a conversation with her.
You bet. Here you go, Agent.
As you plop her down on the chair, just like as she kind of lands with some thud.
Is she gagged?
Sean does the whole across the floor with the chair.
She is gagged, yeah. He stuffed cloth in her mouth.
As he places the agent in front of Duke, Max says to him, "Okay, Duke, you see what you can get out of her. I'm going to see what I can get out of him," as he sort of looks for some place to essentially hang this headless body upside down, and then just grabs the nearest dirty bucket and puts it underneath and starts trying to squeeze what blood is left out of it.
There's a splintered beam that hangs from the ceiling with just enough where you can slide his zip-tied arms or legs or what have you over them. And as you do so, you can hear the creaking and even some cracking of that rotting wood, but it's still strong enough to hold his weight as he does hang, and what little blood from his head is still dripping is being collected by Max at the bottom with, you look around, there's a plastic mop bucket that is extremely dusty and caked with what is probably old water that was used to clean and hasn't been touched in years, that you can roll under it. It's missing a wheel, so as you roll it, it kind of skips but eventually it makes its way underneath the body as the blood begins to coalesce and collect in there.
Yeah, and Max, I bet there's an old bottle or something, so Max will maybe just put one of those underneath the drips and just be casually sipping this cold blood.
Who removes the gag from Pasternak's mouth?
I think I'll just lean across slowly and try to gently pull it from her mouth, just to pull it over the neck.
Yeah, there's a bit of effort. Max is not particularly elegant, and he's got a bit of strength behind him. So jamming that thing into her mouth went pretty deep. But yeah, you're able to wiggle it free, and eventually, she kind of takes a breath. In almost a pointless defiance, I imagine it's like watching, like a pet dog attempt to disobey its master. She spits at your feet.
Do you feel better now?
She doesn't say a word, but she looks up at you, sweating, her hair frazzled, and she looks absolutely livid.
I understand. Vitriol and venom. That's what we are. We're a mess for humanity. I get that.
She shakes her head. You're gonna have to fucking kill me. You ain't getting anything out of me.
That's fine. I'm not trying to get much out of you. I'm trying to set something straight here. So yeah, I in this situation, you must be familiar with this. I am the good cop. I'm the far more approachable, even if I don't seem that way.
I reckon I'm the bad cop then?
Well, based on her partner, I would say yes. Yes, Max, you're the bad cop.
She doesn't say anything. Out of curiosity, we know Vera and Sean are very familiar with this. You've done it a couple of times now. But out of curiosity, how does Bob react to this? We've got Sophia on one side who's not leaving because they don't want her to leave yet. And now we have this FBI agent that's plopped down and they're beginning to speak. I'm just curious, how is Bob, is he like, who's he paying more attention to, I suppose is what I'm getting at. Is he paying more attention to Sophia right now? Or is his eyes on the FBI agent?
He's watching Sophia.
Sophia is not particularly watching you. The FBI agent being popped into the chair, her attention is drawn to it. But as we look at Sophia and the camera is focused on Sophia, eventually the focus blurs and we see Bob come into focus and him staring daggers at her ever so subtly, not too far away. Do continue.
Now, before we move too far along this, I'd like to hear from you specifically what I should call you. Should I just refer to you as agent, or do you have a preferred nomenclature? I'm not sure here.
Does Max interject with their name?
Her last name's Pasternak, I know that.
And actually, Max tosses the wallet that he took from her over to Duke.
If you do it in without preparation, it probably hits the ground near his feet with a loud leather slap on concrete.
I'll
Duke
collect
very
that.
very patiently bends down to pick it up, flips it open.
Not even going to open it. I'm just going to
but then you leave it closed
and put it right on her lap. I'm sorry for some of this mild inconvenience. I mean, I assume it's much more for you an inconvenience than not, but I wanted to hear from you.
She like laughs at you as you speak. Like even as you continue, she kind of like lets out this like.
Listen, agent, I'm not here to droll about. I honestly wish to see you walk out of this situation.
That's all you fuckers do is lie. You really expect me to believe that after all this is said and done, I'm gonna walk fucking scot-free out there?
You could start by telling me your name, and I can try my best to keep you alive.
She looks over very briefly to Max and then back to you. I think you got my name.
Very well. Agent Pasternak. All right. Thank you, Agent. The people that you see standing before you, we represent mostly 3 separate factions. Those over there I'm largely unaware to. They seem to be on the opposite side of my friend Bob here. And we are a third party. We're trying to enter a new home, leaving something behind. Your friend, ally, compatriot, your partner is dead. I'm sorry for that. I did find that you had some weapons particularly designed at slaying people like myself. It strikes me as odd. You are not simply just a federal bureau agent.
She takes a moment and there's you see her take a breath and her chest heave as she's like going to say something. And then instead a sigh escapes her throat instead.
Listen, Agent, we don't want to be here. I don't want to kill unnecessary people. I don't honestly like killing at all. It's not my favorite. Not anything that I enjoy doing anymore. But alas, here we are. And, well, like I said, I'd like to see you walk out of this. Why are you here? Why are you in Gary, of all places, this heel on America?
You may make me, as you are attempting to be rather diplomatic with her. I'm assuming you're using none of your abilities at this moment.
No.
Are you more trying to persuade, or are you trying to intimidate in your Duke-like way, where you just are imposing?
I'm just simply trying to find a level ground. I want to disarm her immediate perceptions.
Because of the way Duke tends to deal with things, please make me a manipulation persuasion check.
Yeah, you got it.
It would be against a difficulty of 4.
Sure. I'm gonna rouse.
Please do. You get a little hungrier.
Yeah. Okay, that was not.
Somehow you rolled a 13
yeah,
on a 10.
Okay. Okay.
So she, as you kind of try to appeal to her in a humane way, one that where you try to convince her that, and you Duke truly means it. It is not lying. That he wants to see her walk out of here tonight. She just doesn't buy it. In her words, she never replies. She stares at you as you say this, and maybe even under her breath, she's fucking blank bodies.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, blank bodies. But please, Agent Pasternak, let me explain this as carefully as I can. I am your fairest chance at walking out of here alive, and not either a meal or a blank body yourself.
Are you moving? You may make an intimidation roll with that if you'd like. Because you failed the persuasion roll once, the difficulty will go up by 1. It'll be difficulty of 5.
So intimidation, what would you like second?
Persuasion, persuasion, yeah, that's all I can think. Sorry, manipulation, intimidation is what I'm looking for.
You got it. That's a much better for me.
You have 3. You could re-roll 3.
Yeah,
another willpower. What is your willpower at this point?
I've got 5 left.
Okay.
Ah, man.
Short 1 more again, and this time she just buttons her lips and speaks no words, stern and stoic.
All right.
She's a tough nut to crack there. Sorry, pal. But
we can always just. You know what happens when you're trying to crack a nut, right? Sometimes you gotta use a nutcracker.
But
Does the camera turns to Vera? She's like, but, and is there like a look of visible confusion on that particular analogy that Bob let out?
you know what, Duke? Maybe if they don't believe us, we ought to just show them. Go ahead, release her.
He's hesitant.
Do we see internal conflict on Duke's face? We see him hesitate. He definitely hesitates, but is it visible beyond the hesitation?
There is definitely hesitation. It's probably visible hesitation. He looks to Vera as almost like not quite pleading, but like asking, just one finger, just one more time.
She is simply prompting you, not forcing you or even ordering you in any way. Her suggestion is, let her go.
He nods. And
so you see that hesitation. Maybe Duke, even his eyes dart over to Vera just for, just to double check. And Vera maybe subtly nods or even says, let her go. And so Duke.
As this goes on, Max will just sort of you'll hear the scrape of the chair he's sitting on the concrete as he casually takes his dirty Diet Coke bottle full of blood and wanders over just to block the door, just leaning up against the door frame, sipping on it. Oh, by the way, was I able to get a blood bag's worth out of this corpse?
I would say you could probably get a blood bag worth out of the corpse for sure.
I'm a little hungry.
Duke, she has zip ties on? Do you just kind of pull them and snap them? I mean, you will have superhuman strength.
Yeah, should be easy enough.
So with ease, snap and snap. But as she stands and she looks to the one way out, at least toward the tunnel, there stands Max. There is a front door that leads out of this place, Sim's place, but she'd have to go up the stairs to do so. There's a ladder that leads to a trap door that likely leads, you imagine, to the first floor of the tire shop.
Oh, if there's 2 entrances, Max is going to basically split the difference. He's just sort of lounging, equidistant
within striking distance.
Of either
of both.
It, yeah.
Is he making it obvious that he's not?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
He's sort of
so Vera, you see Max
as he notices the other entrance, he sort of loudly clears his throat and then just walks over there.
So
still sipping on
the
his blood.
Agent Pasternak will stand up. She'll rub her wrists, and as she looks to both exits and realizes there's no exit, she looks around, not befuddled, but just expectantly. Where do you want her to fucking go? She'll if she makes an attempt for the ladder, does Max step to block it?
Yep. He just sort of nonchalantly, just sort of as she starts edging towards it, he'll just sort of counter her.
After he does that, she turns back in frustration. Are we done with the foreplay? You're just going to fuck me over now. Can we just get to the point and kill me, or let me the fuck go?
Vera says to let her go.
I mean, what happens if we let her go?
I don't know, Agent Pasternak. What happens when we let you go?
Sophia interjects as after Vera asked that question. I said we just put a fucking bullet in her head and be done with it and get on with our business tonight.
Yeah, I
She
mean,
whatever the fuck. If she was, yeah, Max, go
I
ahead.
don't know this lady, but she seems to be talking some sense. If we ain't gonna get anything out of her, I don't see the percentage in letting her fed. Who knows where we are? Walk out the
You're
door.
gonna believe. Sophia continues like, you're gonna believe her if she says she's not gonna fucking tell anybody? She's gonna tell everybody she fucking knows.
Oh. Duke, did you have any other questions for this agent?
Well, the agent wasn't here on federal business. What sort of regular FBI agent carries around a stake in their pocket?
One's trying to keep their city safe.
Your city safe.
What makes it so unsafe?
She openly guffaws at that question.
Are you lacking for words, or are you simply just a grunter?
I just didn't think you were that stupid.
Oh.
She gestures to you. You fucks leeching off the blood of our people. Controlling, dominating leeches.
Oh, hey.
See, it seems strange to me that such a shithole as Gary, Indiana, would be under FBI watch.
She goes, color me surprised when I found some of your people heading out this way. And she just kind of like cuts herself off at that point, almost like she was about to.
My people. So I see that you have had many run-ins with our kind.
She continues to maintain her silence.
Oh, Agent Pasternak, we were doing so well.
Duke, I mean, you don't want to kill her, right?
I don't think it's necessary. I think that she's failing to see exactly our situation here. I introduced ourselves as a third party not wanting to be here, and Agent Pasternak has failed to understand that we don't want to be here, but we were sent here to clean up our kind.
Maybe we convince her. You were telling me about that blood thing, right?
Yeah, can't one of you guys put a whammy on her or whatnot?
Ugh, why would I want to whammy her? Ugh.
No, not that kind of whammy, Vera.
Oh. Well, Sean, you'll whammy anything. Go ahead.
What kind of whammy are you talking about?
You know, the old hoodoo, voodoo, whatnot in their brain pan.
Oh, right, the old, like, these aren't the droids you're looking for thing.
Yeah.
Right?
We're really doing a very good job of representing ourselves, aren't we? Well, Sean, whammy her.
Yeah, all right. He turns to Pasternak and he's like, and he's going to use compel here. Sit down.
Okay. As you tell her to sit down, she does on the floor, directly where she stands.
This is exciting.
Duke, this is your first time. Well, all of you. Your first time seeing Sean do anything like this. You recognize, obviously, as Duke has done it plenty of times. As Sean meets her eyes and tells her to sit down like a dog, she obeys instantly.
I've only ever been able to do that one time before. It didn't work out so well. So this is exciting. And then he's going to take out a pocket knife and slice across his palm. Let's go classic wrist. For the like a little pool of blood, and it's gonna go drink this.
So as he does so, I'm curious how the coterie reacts. I imagine maybe some of you thought he was going to mess with her mind, but instead you see Sean move to ghoul her. Sophia actually will say, like, that's what we're doing now. We're just gonna. That's dangerous, man. And she looks to Sean, but then back to Bob. Extremely dangerous.
I nudge Max and I'm like, you sure we want this happening? I just can't. I feel like this is going to alert the entire FBI.
This is one way to do it, I guess.
Wiping a memory. I didn't think we were.
Yeah, that's what I meant by put the whammy on. I didn't mean this shit.
I can try to do that, but like Duke told me like the rules about it.
Look, we don't
like
got
how it
3
works.
nights. We don't got 3 nights. Somebody's going to
You
notice
sure?
her missing. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, then just put a bullet in her. I don't know.
I walk up to Sean and I put a hand on his wrist, kind of hoping to stop some of the blood flow if he did cut himself.
And
put his hand down.
And you do so. You can feel the thick kindred vitae oozing around your finger, but you cover the wound.
Sean, look at her. Ask her a question.
Okay. Who do you work for?
Yeah, I think that's got to be an imperative there, kid. You know,
Yeah,
like,
sure,
tell
I
me who
mean-
you work for.
At this point, Sean doesn't know the difference, so he's like, "Oh,
Sure. So geez,
right,
yeah.
yeah." And he will use compel. Tell me who you work for. And, like the
Who
exact
you work for?
and
And she does without
Oh my God.
hesitation. Without hesitation, she just responds, "Who you work for?"
Oh, that's even better than the real answer.
Sean. Who is her commanding officer?
Ooh, who is your commanding officer?
She looks to you. I'm not telling you that. Fuck you.
Okay, try this. Answer the following question. Who is your commanding officer?
Again, just so compel is a level 1 and it is very simple, so it's very hard to get anything other than
I mean,
simple commands
this-
through
let
because
this
it's
be
free,
a-
right? Too. It's
a
not.
bit-
It doesn't cause you a rouse check or anything.
no,
Correct, it's
yeah,
free. Let this be a bit of a lesson here, Sean. You are more likely, think of it like dog tricks. Sit, stay, roll over, that sort of thing.
roll over.
As you say, roll over. She instantly goes to her back and rolls over.
Herein lies the problem. It looks to Vera.
And then we see Bob actually like lightly giggling to himself as he rolls over. He just can't help himself.
She's aware this is happening, and this is simply degrading her.
Max will turn to Bob and just go, I ain't gonna lie, it's pretty much always like this.
Yeah. This reminds me of like some hypnotist comedian show I saw back in the 90s. But anyway.
Yeah, hey, the man they call Ravine.
Vera whispers into Sean's ear. She says, Sean, tell her to run back to where she came from.
I'm with Duke, Vera. I don't think we should let her go.
They're going to kill her anyways. The moment she shows up and tells them that she's come in contact with Kindred in this kind of way, they're going to put a bullet through her head anyways. Vera turns to look at Max. I just want to know where she's coming from. Follow her is an easy option, and she's dead anyways, and her blood is not on our hands.
Okay.
There's a problem, Vera. She said that she's come from cities over. We're bound to Gary. With no means of traveling across state lines.
Is that where she's going to go? To the state line? I want to know if she's staying in town. Who is she reporting to? She has to have a station here. She doesn't travel back and forth from Chicago every night.
I can get these answers, but I will need food.
Well, I imagine we can make that happen.
I mean, 2 birds with 1 stone. Maybe you take a little snack on her.
No.
Oh, yeah, right. Sorry. I
don't
forgot.
feed.
Unfortunately, Duke has particular taste, but I imagine that we can work something out.
Out of curiosity, does Max regag her, knowing that you're planning to keep her around until Duke is able to interrogate her properly?
Yeah, so he does. He's
So-
he's going to lean down. He's going to pull out new zip ties and just say, "Okay, agent, let's just get you squared away somewheres."
As you hear the zip ties re-zip tie, the camera goes back to Bob. As Sophia's voice breaks the silence. Bob, really, this is what you're doing now? Offer is on the table. Well, I'll leave. I'm not going to bother you, any of you. Do what you need, but
You're not going anywhere.
Sophia then looks over to Vera, then back to Bob and shrugs, and then just leans back against the table like, okay.
Give me a moment. I know where I can feed.
She shrugs, and where is Duke going?
Duke goes to Eric.
Okay. Eric is on the outside, left where he was, probably near and speaking to Adelaide a little bit. As you maybe even walk outside, there's a bit of a distance between the two of them, but he seems to at least be engaging in conversation with her. You walk in the middle of them talking about their favorite kinds of nights, full moons and a gentle breeze and all that nonsense.
Oh, I thought you meant like Galahad, Lancelot.
That would be hilarious if it was. But as you step out, I mean, it would. He owes you, so to speak. You saved him. You're taking care of the stuff. There is that fulfillment of the requirement for Duke. And Adelaide will walk away and give you the privacy you need to feed.
Adelaide, I need your assistance if that's not a problem. Promise is nothing that's going to be too taxing on you.
Yeah, did Max say it was okay?
Please just hear me out first. And then I'll turn to Eric. Eric, I've come to an internal agreement that I am going to clean this area. I'm going to purge it of some of its malefices, its problems. But in turn, I'm very restrictive feeding, and I need to eat. I need your blood, Eric.
There is no pushback, no argument, a simple nod. And he doesn't say anything but merely walks over to you.
Adelaide, I will need you to care for him while he is down.
She nods emphatically. Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
And we imagine as the teeth sink and you can hear the gasp of pleasure and confusion leave Eric's mouth. Back to inside we go. Vera, what is it that you would push forward with Sophia? Where, as she kind of stands and waits for your next demands or questions.
Now back to where we were. Would you like to sit down?
She is sitting as best she can, kind of like on a nearby ledge, but it's more leaning than sitting.
Let's talk a little bit more about your independent viewpoints.
Sure.
What makes you so sure this town is independent? Is it simply a lack of leadership?
Well, it's been independent from Chicago for years. It had its own prince for some time.
But every prince serves a Camarilla.
Yeah, correct. We had a baron as well.
And
for the Anarchs, of course, and he is also...
Why are you so against it?
Why am I against a fancy shiny shoe sitting on my throat every day? Demanding I obey lest they take my head? I don't know. Sounds like it just kind of gets tiring.
Well, we're all standing here without a boot on our neck.
Yeah, maybe you should either try shifting your neck or find a different place to be. Run around in your little anarchy games. You know, playing like structure doesn't... I mean, if everybody were anarchs, everybody would be dead. But this place doesn't belong to you no more.
That's the propaganda speaking, Bob. You know that. Come on. The Anarchs are not just a group of lawless individuals. We have a council of people that are voted in, not appointed by...
What? Well, what the hell is... how is that anarchy then? Huh?
Yeah,
you guys are a contradiction. Now you know why I never joined you. You guys are just we'll use this term if we like this. We'll use that term if we like that. If we don't like that, we just won't use it. There's no structure there, but then apparently there is structure. So, make up your mind. Are you anarchs or are you fascists for all I know? Huh?
She kind of mockingly laughs at that. The fascist ones are the ones who are operating under a king, not me. We operate under elected individuals.
It sounds like a star-bellied Sneetches kind of situation, personally.
Yeah, ain't this a Monty Python sketch?
It feels like it.
Please, enjoy your lives as dogs. That's fine. But I am not one that wants to join the Camarilla. I apologize. If that's all there is, then let's go our separate ways. I'll keep out of your hair, you keep out of mine. And best of luck serving your new ownership.
That is not why I asked that question. I simply want to know where your interests lie. What do you actually want? Obviously not a boot on your neck, but I want to know the truth. What is it that you want so badly that the Anarchs can give you that the Camarilla cannot?
Freedom.
From a set of rules that assure that we aren't hunted by FBI?
Assured by who? What is the no cell phone
rule? You don't have them
rule?
at your doorstep?
She lets Veer's words sink in. She goes, truly, who's the no cell phone rule really work for? Is it a tool to keep you all safe, or is it a tool to keep valuable information out of the plebeians' hands while the higher-ups break the rules in order to maintain their power? Something so simple, seemingly on paper, can indicate power sway from one side to the other.
But just as there's also a law that there is no ghouling, I imagine that many a prince has done it. You and I both know that where there are rules, they are to be broken. The only reason we need a structure is so that we can find the things that we actually want. So if freedom is what you desire, run free. But the Camarilla is coming one way or the other.
You want to serve the Camarilla?
No, you didn't ask me what I wanted.
So then, let me ask you in turn. It's only kind. What the fuck do you want?
What I want is to move into the city of Gary, Indiana. Claim it outside of the prince's name for my own reasons, and make as much money as possible so that I can stop dealing with the politics of Kindred and be left the fuck alone. How's that?
So you're making a move for Praxis?
I'm making the moves that I need to make to get what I want.
Are you insinuating that you are looking to seat yourself as Prince of Gary, Indiana?
I'm insinuating that I am moving into this town to gain what I can from it, and if I have to do it riding the coattails of the Prince of Chicago, then I will do it with a smile and a wave.
That sounds like a yes to me.
So, my friend, freedom is what you want, run free. But when we are all getting what we want and you're still scouring and squatting in basements left over by ex-princes, tell me how free you actually feel.
There's a lingering gaze between the two of you. She chews on your words before she turns back, makes a motion with the gun to her two companions, and they make their way for the front door.
Bye-bye.
She follows in turn, and unless somebody stops her.
You know where to find us, or if you need new tires.
As she walks by you, Bob, her eyes linger on you for a while. I imagine the two of you look at each other until she can no longer do so without turning her head. And then she walks out the front door unless stopped.
Max is going to escort them essentially out.
And you are welcome to do so.
And Bob yells out as they're walking out. Bob yells out, "Curiosity killed the cat!"
There's no verbal response. Max, you see her look back, but her gaze is met with your large body standing in between them, and she walks out the front door.
Basically, on the way out, Max is just like, okay, well, thanks for dropping by, folks. We'll see you. Don't visit anytime.
You give him a pat on the back on the way and a shove.
No shoving. He's
all right.
Yeah, Max is
as
just
you pat
sort of
him
like,
on the back.
Yeah. And
please.
Yeah. This whole Anarch Cam stuff, I know the Cam is full of shit, but hey, let's face it, so are you guys.
They don't stop walking. Sophia chuckles and says, "To each their own, big guy. We'll see who's actually going to be standing at the end of it all."
Okay, all right, let's go. All right.
It's
like, all right, political roundtable is over. Let's go. Come on.
And
hit the bricks.
Usher them off.
Hit the bricks.
And
GTFO. Let's go.
As they hit the bricks and march away with Max shooing them off, we quickly cut back into the building where an eerie silence is now kind of sat. Agent Pasternak gagged again. And Vera, Bob, Sean, and Duke kind of stand with much more space around one another.
So, yeah, Sean's just like, that was a lot. So who the fuck are you, Bob?
And when he asks, who the fuck are you, Bob? We cut to black. And we come back next week with the answer to that question. Goodbye, everybody.